Death is only the beginning.
In the old world, a peaceful death is oftentimes a privilege, and the dead do not rest easy. To the masters of the dark arts of necromancy, raising a spirit from a corpse is not an entirely easy matter, but once raised, those spirits are tortured and bent to their will. A grim fate indeed. But not all spirits are exactly the same. Today, we shall dive into some of the different types of spirits and non-corporeal entities that roam the Warhammer world. Magic is tied to the restless dead. The winds of magic permanently flow from the realm of chaos and blow out across the world, touching and permeating everything. The currents of magic energy separate into one of the 8 colors of magic. When dark magic starts to build up in a particular area, the restless spirits and undead will begin to gather and be attracted to this energy. There are particular areas in the old world and beyond that attract the undead and the spirits. These areas include the Desolation of Nagash, the Land of the Dead, the Imperial Realm of Sylvania, the Cursed City of Moscatello in Bretonia, the Barrow Hills and the Border Princes, the Ghoul Caves in the World's Edge Mountains, and the zombie-haunted swamps south of Skavenblight in Talea, to name a few. Vampire counts and necromancers harness this magic with knowledge from ancient books or with the aid of powerful artifacts. It is a dangerous practice that blurs the line between the living and the dead, and takes years to master the arts and spells that can raise the dead and gain their control.
Dark magic is mine to command.
Vampire counts and necromancers usually bind Cairn wraiths to their will, as these are amongst the most dreaded of all undead beings. These are the miserable souls of sorcerers that use the winds of magic to extend the span of their lives. Many manage to add decades to their lifespans, but fail to realize the dangers of such activities. Soon enough, the dark magic corrupted them, and most managed to preserve their spirits, but not their bodies. So they now wander, not truly alive, but unable to die, forever yearning for the warmth of mortal flesh. Even those whose remains have long ago crumbled into dust cannot escape the clutches of a powerful necromancer that knows how to bind these spirits to their will. Moaning with despair at being dragged from the afterlife, these vague, silent shapes fill all sane men with horror. They cannot be put down by axe or by sword, as they don't have a physical form. No cannonball, burst of flame, or hammer blow can damage them, as they close in on their prey, cutting down enemies with vicious swings of their scythes. Only the raw energy of magic or a blow from an enchanted weapon can slay a Cairn wraith. Wraiths are among the most powerful of the tortured souls owned by the vampire counts. Hexwraiths doubly so. They are drawn to insanity and violence, due to the spiritual torture the soul is forced to endure by its master. Hexwraiths are extremely deadly in combat. If they don't scare their opponents to death outright, then the cruel scythes that reap the soul from their bodies most certainly would do the job. Riding on top of incorporeal steeds, these ethereal riders chase down their prey without stopping, hunting all who bear the infamous curse of the Hexwraith, an inescapable mark that guarantees death. Relentless, uncanny, and brutal, nothing will stop a Hexwraith from reaping the soul of its victim, except for death, a temporary relief, should the necromancer in charge no longer need their service. Otherwise, a fallen spirit will be imbued with the lore of vampires, and brought back into servitude once more. Hexwraiths have a long history in the Empire, and a particular rivalry against the Blackguards of Morr. The Blackguards of Morr assign themselves as the guardians of the many graveyards and family tombs scattered across the old world. And yet, it is never enough, as not all souls have the luxury of a mortal protector. On the day before the new year, the cursed horsemen will ride out from the underworld with an insatiable hunger, and the only temporary relief they will have would be the essence of a damned soul. The first Hexwraiths were harnessed by the Necrarch bloodline. It is unknown exactly how the Necrarchs managed to tame the otherwise ferocious Hexwraith spirit, binding them to their will, but whatever foul ritual is needed, this knowledge has spread to the highest counts of Sylvania. Some female witches, whose crimes were so heinous, were condemned to an ill fate. Due to their actions in life, they were banished from mercy and cursed forever to haunt the earthly realms. Banshees are the ethereal remains of the most bitter and restless spirits of these witches. They howl constantly in remembrance of the forbidden pleasures of the life they no longer possess, and in grief for the peace they cannot have. The keening lament of tortured souls. The most dangerous weapon a Banshee possesses is their dreaded howl, an inhuman sound that can kill a man out of sheer fright. At that sound, ranks of soldiers fall lifelessly, with blood coming out of their ears, as the mind-shattering wails consume the air and life around them. Sylvania is rich in the spirits of the dead, for it has a long history of misery and suffering, and is rife with polluting warpstone that can be harnessed to summon hosts of restless spirits. However, Sylvania is not the only place where spirits are found, and some are not nearly as malignant. When a member of the Asrai passes, many choose to shed their mortal life and memories and become one with the weave, a term for the very delicate web of life and death that affects all who live in Athel Loren. When an elf dies, poetry is sung and scriptures are written, and the memory of the elf fades away. However, not all choose to be forgotten so easily. Some choose to become treekin. The elves shed their graceful form, and their soul takes on a shell of dried and dead timberwood. They become one with the forest. As a treekin, the elf soul keeps distant memories of its past life, they fade in and out like the seasons. Treekin are drawn to protect certain spots or certain elves, and they may not really know why. They may guard a hall that has no one left to protect, or a part of the forest that has long since been abandoned by the Azrai. They take this fate willingly, so that they may protect in death what they adored in life. Their past memories act as a form of illusion, making the Treekin, in many situations, sleepy and out of touch. Like a leaf on a river current, it bobs with the motion of the stream, moving with the waves. It drifts between recognition of its past self and a form of sentience not too dissimilar from an animal. When the horn of Orion blows, signaling the wild hunt, their souls resonate to the booming bass of the horn. The forest comes alive with motion as hundreds of Treekin stomp out of the forest, ready to reclaim lands lost and to destroy all that would dare to harm the beauty that is Athel Loren. For centuries, the haunting spirits of the world have brought terror and blood to the realms of the old world. Dark magic flows across the lands, and the Restless seek to drain life and energy from all living things. A fate worse than death awaits those who are unprotected and exposed. A grim one. Vigilance is needed both in life and death, to assure the safety of those who rest.
On this channel, we are putting together narrative Total War cinematic battles and Warhammer lore videos. A special thank you goes to our Patreon supporters who help us in the making of more content. You can also directly support the channel through Patreon. Find the link in the description below. Make sure to subscribe and hit the notification button to be the first to watch the next video. Thank you for watching and see you on the next one.